All right. All right, so our 9Q, points lever. Okay, okay. Okay. If they Nobi right here, you do want to push one more, and then you get to Jinki. Because if they're gonna invest, then they're supposed to invest the second time as well. Because if they ignore now, this Hane or this cut is better than if they ignore than this cut. This cut gives you a lot more options to white on the left side. So if they respond right here, go ahead and push one. And then they should respawn again and they get Janiki. But it's not like you should be fighting like all that desperate for Sente, because technically white's supposed to get Sente, or white can get Sente here anyway, if they so choose. So it's not like you should be unprepared for Gote. So it's absolutely fine to push right here, because getting surrounded is painful.
Okay.
This is painful. Okay, I like base. I like jump. I like turn. Ooh. This is okay. If I go here, is there anything bad?
No.
I don't think so, because black should die faster than white.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, black has to make life. But in that case, let's say black just makes life. In that case, we got a free exchange. So here versus here, we got a free exchange.
Yes, it's definitely better.
Does black need to fix? Isn't black alive?
That's a question I'm struggling with.
So if we just go here, this is alive. And if I go here, you go here. That should be alive too. Technically, I think it could ignore. It might be worth it. Sente's big on this board. So I think this is probably how it should play out. Probably. I'm not 100% though. I think both players fixing is perfectly fine. I just want to encourage you to think about Sente a little bit more often, because I think 9Q, from the reviews I do for my students, you can gain Sente at least 5 to 10 times a game. If you just go review your games at 9Q and just say, okay, where did I fix something that I didn't need to? At least 5 moves. At least 5. Like, so if you're live right here and you get Snoogie, there's one. And I guarantee you probably do it on average at least 5 to 10 times a game. This means some games you do it less, some games you do it more. But from the reviews I've done with my students, a lot of times you can, like, so this one, for example, could be the big move. You don't need a base, you're alive. And if you're asking if the bottom side is the big side, no, it's third line. The bottom is not the biggest framework. The A group doesn't need a base. You have a base at B, I at C, plenty of space for I at D. Absolutely alive. So if you're not playing defense, then is this extension bigger than this extension?
Yes, it's definitely better.
Right. So both of you could have gotten Sente here, I think. Ooh. Okay, so I think you're worried about white's Moyo, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say I play the big move and white plays a shoulder hit. Okay, so Now, the next idea would be to jump in, because I would love to go like right here, but weak group. So let's say I jump. There's another shoulder hit. So now I'm alive, and I just play on the line of influence. Is it still scary?
A bit.
A bit? Okay, let me make it easier. Let's say he blocks, he blocks, and then you play. Is it still scary?
Yeah, that looks better now. That looks way
Yeah.
better.
So when you're thinking about reducing a moyo, you need to think about if they get it, you will get thickness. Does that thickness go towards anything? And it absolutely does in this case.
Okay.
So in this case, I think the top side is bigger than the moyo. Also, Classy Approach says open sides before largest framework. And it's kind of this reason.
Yes.
It's easy to deal with a large framework if it's just one framework, but open sides are kind of like double value because both sides can get it. So I understand this move. Technically it should be bad, but it's not like it's zero value, so it's not like it's a bad move. We really need to be in that top side because this is big for both sides. Like imagine like black just destroys the center, and you can get this move and this or this move. Think about the fact that you're getting framework right here. So it's like, oh, but I was getting framework right here. But yeah, black was also getting framework right here. So this is like twice as big as this. That to me, that's why it's so big. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you guys or not, but to me, the top side is very, very large because it's twice as big as it looks. Does that make sense?
It's kind of building while destroying.
Exactly.
While the other
You're
one's just
building
destroying.
since you're not really destroying because that would be like destroying a moyo because black's moyo doesn't exist, but it's building while preventing. That's the
Okay.
that's the wording I would use. Building while preventing. So it's double value in my mind. In my mind, this is a chicken move. If you're worried about this 3-space extension, play on the third line.
Mhm.
If you're worried about it, you should play B at A, because you can't worry about it when the C stone is so far away. They have to be like right here, then you can worry about it. They have to be like right here, then you can worry about it. But if they're all the way over here, you can't worry about it. The whole idea of being on the fourth line is to treat it lightly. So that way you can go play a big move, and if they go in, you just surround. And if they do this, well, now you just make a base. The whole purpose of it is it's flexible. So if you're not sure how to handle that, then just at the very start, just play safe. And then when you do this, you just jump. It's a lot safer and easier to handle.
Yes.
But if you play a shape for speed, and you find later in the game that you lose Sente to fix your own idea because you're afraid of it, then don't do it. Because if you're going to play for speed, you need to be you can't fix your own move later, if that makes sense. You can't just lose Sente to fix your own idea. Just don't do the idea if you're going to lose Sente later. So this is you paying for your own move, and that just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so black, I will say black has a slight advantage. Actually, a pretty good advantage now. Yeah, black has a pretty decent advantage now. This is okay. This is okay if we're looking at A and B for white. It's okay. Otherwise, it's too slow. Yeah, that's a really big move. Black's very ahead. White has to do something. That's an idea. Probably though, we should focus on Aji. So I think an attachment is better. So the way I teach how to deal with the framework is at double digit Q, I first show these shoulder hits. So first I find the line of influence, right? And then look for shoulder hits and caps. So probably these 4 moves. Okay. Then at single digit Q, I'm like, okay, look for any Aji and attachments. So now I'm finding these and these. This. That one's bad though. So these are my options for my students, or this is what I would tell my students to play one of these options up until like 4Q. And then after that, you could apply more for reading. If you can read it out and find more Aji. But these are the, maybe this one because it takes a base. But these would be the moves I would play. This one, it doesn't look like it has a follow-up very much, and it's not as safe as playing directly on the line. playing directly on the line is the safest and simplest you can be. But usually we like to play moves that like kind of are more forcing or heavy or difficult for your opponent to respond. So shoulder hits, caps, and then look at attachments and peeps and any sort of forcing move basically. It makes your opponent have to respond to you while you're destroying their area, so it gives you a little bit better combinations. This one, your opponent gets the flexibility to do what he wants and just chase you. Which cap? I like the cap here. No, absolutely, absolutely not. Why do you think I think this is a bad move? Can you tell me why?
Because it doesn't do anything important. I already can make this group to live.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
So,
I should.
so locally, you've now spent 2 moves fixing your A stone. That is true.
Yes.
But there's more of a fundamental reason why I don't like this.
Black can attack me from to take the middle.
So you played practically an invasion.
And I leave the stone after. Yes.
Yes, you Tanuki to weak group. There's an urgent area on the board. You have a weak group. You are getting surrounded. You have no eye space. You might die, and just like, I'm gonna go get some points. You know, your house is on fire, but you're gonna go buy a lottery ticket. No, like you should take care of the problem. You should put out the fire before you go spending money and gaining money. So absolutely, you should be helping the ace then somehow, right? Maybe run away. Maybe try to play some sabaki or something. So I think this one is too deep because you're behind the enemy lines. It's very easy for black to surround you. So maybe you could do something like this. And if they do that, then you can Atari your way out. If they do that, you can Atari your way in, and maybe something like that. If they push down, you can Atari your way in. So you can play a little bit of sabaki here. I think it'll work. So I think A is not a terrible move. It's just harder follow-ups than normal. So I think probably this is more of a 9Q move. But Tanuki, I think, is absolutely cannot do, because you can't play an invasion or a reduction that's getting surrounded and then just ignore it and just immediately die. So if I just go here, you're just dead. So if you got this area, because that was already yours, and I got this area, I got so much more than you. And you're the one that made this exchange. You played N16 instead of just playing right here. And then if black wanted to seal, it would be like this. So instead, you actually made black seal it from here. And this one can be reduced, but you actually played here and then just helped black make it more solid. So this is a very bad exchange for you. We're kind of helping black kill it. You got to go in. It's too many points. You'll just lose if there's that many points. Because if you think about the score, you have this.
I thought later, because I will lose, I can make life with that stone. I leave it there, and that's why I play what I played just now.
So you're trying to use dead stones to gain value, yes?
But that was improvisation in the moment.
Okay, so here's something a lot of my students are like, say this a lot, where they say, okay, I did this thing, but it didn't work. So I wanted to do something else with it to get value. That's not how it works, because you can't just try to force value out of a mistake. Instead, you should think about what's the next thing to do. So if we could sacrifice a stone to gain value on the outside, that would make sense. But that's an intentional plan, not a trying to force value out of the stone. And if we look at the whole board, the next value we should be thinking about is this area. How does this peep help this area? It doesn't. So we shouldn't be peeping. We shouldn't be killing the Aji. Because what is Aji? This is a common mistake at single digit Q, is 9Q to 7Q, they're finally strong enough that they can see Aji. They can see weakness. They can see potential. But because they see that, they think they have to use it. And that is false. Most of the time, the way they try to use it at this level is they actually fix it. They play Aji Keshi, which means to fix your opponent's Aji and just make them stronger. But if you don't get value out of it, then that's actually a negative exchange rate. It's actually worse. It'd be better if you didn't see the Aji and just played the next big thing. The idea here is now that you're strong enough to see Aji, you still shouldn't be using it. You should be thinking, okay, how do I learn what to do with it now that I can see it? And that is actually thinking about what is the thing you want to do? Is there any Aji in that area to do it? So the thing you want to do is likely to build A or invade B, whatever, but let's assume A, because this is more common, is we go to the next big thing or urgent thing, and in the A area, we try to find Aji that'll help us do our job better. So if we're building the A area, we would think about jump or whatever, right? But let's say we found Aji. Okay, let's see if I can use the Aji to do better than the jump. That is how you're supposed to think about Aji. Aji is a way to support the goal of the turn. But just because Aji exists doesn't mean it's good if it has nothing to do with the goal of the turn. If the goal of the turn was to play in the B area, then it would make sense to try to get the forcing moves right here because you're helping the B area. But if you're not playing something relevant to the B area, then just save the Aji for later for when the B area becomes relevant. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. So I actually think Black played quite well here. I think the biggest problem is you panic from your own move. So maybe just play on the third line so you don't have to spend 2 extra moves because you lost Sente twice. Both players
Yes.
played a lot of moves down here and didn't get to the big move. This was a little deep. It was the right goal of the turn, but I think a little deep. And then you immediately Tanuki'd your weak group. So I think the problem is White wasted more moves than Black and also ignored an urgent place and Black did not. And so that's why I think that's why Black has the advantage here. Make sense?
Yes, yes.